All right. Hello and welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Trump told us that he was going to sic ICE on illegal alien criminals that are in the United States of America. There's been a lot of whoop-de-doo about it. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to be outraged, at least if you're on the left. But I got to tell you, I'm speaking right now. Actually, I want to introduce my guest. But I'm just shocked at the speed that Trump is moving, whether it be executive orders. This stuff is absolutely amazing. Right now, joining me is former chief of the Office of Citizenship under the Department of Homeland Security, Alfonso Aguilar. He's currently the director of Hispanic engagement with the American Principles Project. Alfonso, I got to get your reaction to this. Welcome to the show. This is the rate of speed that I'm seeing Trump move is absolutely astonishing, and ICE as well. Give us your initial thoughts on this.
Well, first of all, happy to be with you, Carl.
Thank you.
Look, this is what we should expect from government. ICE is supposed to execute the law, immigration law, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're talking about in a few days, slightly over 2 days, 460 detentions, 60 arrests. 460 arrests. Why were those people, everyone involved in criminal activity in the country? Why had the Biden administration not detained them before? We're talking about MS-13 gang members, people involved in murder, sexual assault, all sorts of criminals from a number of countries. And this administration is moving, and this is what the American people wanted. We know that in every single poll during the campaign, the majority of Americans said they wanted to see deportations. And Trump said, I'm going to go after the criminals, and it's happening. We have way too many criminals. And if the Democrats want to criticize, then fine. They're going to have to look at their constituents and say that they don't want to deport criminals. But I think that Joe Biden created a huge crisis. He opened the border. We had millions of people coming in, being let loose into the country, many of them in the list of terrorists or with criminal records. We now have the Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang that had no presence in the United States. Now it's operating in over 18 states. This is a gang that has terrorized cities throughout Latin America. Now we have them in the U.S. So this is about protecting America. This is about the rule of law. And Donald Trump has 4 years to do this. So that's why he's moving so quickly. I'm really enthused by his energy. And this is just the beginning. But I think we're getting our country under control. I think Americans are pleased to see that government is finally doing what it's supposed to do.
Listen, Alfonso, I got to tell you, you couldn't be more correct. And I think Trump has learned a lesson, obviously, from his first go round. I mean, he's moving lightning quick. You have the Democrat Party still holding up some of his confirmations, right, his cabinet team, in the Senate here. And I just feel like this guy gets it like he never has before. I mean, from his speech, I don't know if you saw it. I watched his speech earlier from the World Economic Forum. Alfonso, I told you offline, I was running into the studio to connect with you. And then I'm seeing the headline break that this guy is literally declassifying JFK, MLK, RFK. I got to be honest with you. Even if there wasn't much there, I love the fact that this guy is taking on big government, transparency. He seems to be fighting for the little guy. And even when it comes to these ICE raids, there are people that are, you know it and I know it, Alfonso. I grew up in the hood. You know what I mean? People are scared to say things. You know what I mean? So they arrest these criminals. Some of the crimes, like you mentioned, I was listening to, actually, let's go ahead and play it. Maybe this one has it. Cut number, which one is this? With Bill Malugin on Fox, 51, Gabe. If we could roll it, maybe it has it. Keep my mic on just in case so we can talk over it. But they were talking about criminals, child rape in Boston. And these guys are just being released low bail.
Exactly.
Oh,
no, it is ridiculous. And for so long, we've had state authorities ignoring detainers from Homeland Security, asking for local authorities when they release criminals to turn them over to federal authorities. And they were saying, no, why would you not turn over a criminal, somebody who's served in prison, to federal authorities so we can remove them? It is just really frustrating. But you know what? Again, President Trump takes the American people seriously. And he understands that he has an important responsibility. The number one responsibility of government is to keep its citizens safe. And we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of crime committed by illegal immigrants because of Biden border policies. So he doesn't have time to lose. He doesn't have time to waste. And he's moving very, very quickly. We're still, while he continues to sign executive orders, we're still catching up, trying to read them and see exactly. And think of only on immigration, everything that he's done. Declared a national emergency. Nobody is entering the southern border legally or illegally until we secure the southern border, period. He's reinstated remain in Mexico, meaning that if you have an asylum claim, you're going to have to wait in Mexico. Why is that important? Because the main incentive that the Biden administration was using to let all these people in was basically that if you showed up at the border without any documentation and you said that you were afraid of being persecuted in your home country, you are going to be allowed in and released into the community. And as we know, most of the people saying that they were going to be persecuted, over 80%, had no legitimate claim of asylum, meaning they were lying. They're economic migrants. So Trump is saying, if you're asking for asylum, you're going to have to wait in Mexico. We're going to see a dramatic decrease of people arriving at the border because this incentive is gone. He's ending catch and release. Finally, we're actually going to detain people instead of releasing them to later find out they're criminals or they're committed murder. I am so happy that the first law that this president is going to sign is the Laken Riley Act, which already passed House and Senate, which will mandate federal government to actually detain people involved in theft and related crimes. And the great thing is that in the Senate, the House, but also the Senate, it had bipartisan support. 12 Democratic senators voted for it. So even on immigration, Trump is already transforming the country. He's having a transformative effect that people are realizing that enough with trivializing immigration. There are serious security threats to our country, and we have to deal with the issue. And so I'm very excited about that.
Okay, again, I'm speaking to my guest, Alfonso Aguilar. He's the former chief of the Office of Citizenship under the Department of Homeland Security and currently the director of Hispanic engagement with the American Principles Project. I mean, to your point, Alfonso, I got to talk about deterrence. You talked about remain in Mexico. Great deterrent. I love the Laken Riley Act. I'm sorry that it came about the way that it did, obviously. But sadly, even through her death, God is using Laken Riley because now there's got to be, getting that law, Trump will sign it, I believe that at the end of this week, and getting that law in place is going to be so huge because I think you're going to see, I just think you're going to see less crime, even with illegals that may be in the country. You're going to see less crime because no one is going to want to be deported. And this makes total sense to me because you disincentivize crime beyond the illegal immigration itself.
You're absolutely right. The other deterrence we're going to see, because this is about deterring people from coming to the country. And
you got about a minute and a half, Alfonso.
Ensuring that people are here, especially criminals, are removed. But the deterrence we're going to see is people are going to decide not to make that dangerous journey to the southern border because Biden created a terrible humanitarian crisis. What he did was not moral and humane for migrants. It facilitated child trafficking. Over 60% of women were raped, were victims of sexual assault on their way to the southern border. This will, the policies at the border will disincentivize this massive immigration wave, which is not good for America. It's not good for the migrants. So I'm very happy with everything that's happening, and it's happening quickly.
Okay, Alfonso, I got to ask you this because we got less than a minute left. Is there any way you can stay with us an additional 5 minutes? Because I would really love to ask you
Sure,
about
sure.
Senator Marco Rubio. So we'll close it out shortly here. But if we could just keep you a little longer, I just have some really, you're a great guest, and I got some questions that I really do want to ask of you. Okay, so again, I'm getting back to this issue of deterrence. Tell the people, discuss why it is so important to evict these illegals from the public in the first place. That's basically a deterrent. Just close it out with that, if you would. 20 seconds.
Well, you mean those people who are here illegally that have committed crimes? It's essential because it's not only they're a threat to our security. We have to remove them, but by enforcing the law, we send a very powerful message abroad. It's not a good idea to come here because if you make it here, you're going to be removed. And again, we don't want people to make that dangerous trip to the border.
Okay, again, I'm speaking to Alfonso Aguilar, former chief of the Office of Citizenship under DHS and currently the director of Hispanic engagement with the American Principles Project. Listen, Alfonso, I got to ask you, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, are you scheduled to do any traveling with him, or what's going on here? Are you headed to Latin America with him? Do I understand that correctly?
No. I won't be traveling with him. I certainly am very supportive of Marco. I've worked with him in the past on a number of issues, and it's truly fantastic. The great thing, I don't know if you saw his confirmation hearing, but he was very powerful. He said that the post-war order is obsolete, and international organizations are undermining the sovereignty of countries and undermining the national identity of countries. So we have to reform this order. And in terms of our foreign policy, it's going to be about advancing America's interests. I'm so excited that the President of the United States already issued an executive order freezing all foreign assistance because the Biden administration was using foreign assistance to promote abortion, to promote the woke agenda in different countries, in developing countries. And
Alfonso, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I totally missed that. I don't know how, because it makes perfect sense. Of course he would. Oh yeah. But go ahead.
It's just so many executive orders. He's frozen foreign aid for 30 days, so it can be reviewed to ensure that we are advancing policies and providing assistance that advances American values. We've withdrawn from the World Health Organization that is controlled by the left, that is even funded, receives money from the Gates Foundation to advance a leftist agenda. And we've also reimposed sanctions on the International Court of Justice that, as you know, recently issued a warrant for an arrest warrant against Bibi Netanyahu over the military intervention in Gaza, which is ridiculous.
Okay, so a couple of things. I want you to talk about the importance, because obviously what Trump is doing is adopting this Monroe Doctrine. So I want you to speak to that as far as the Panama Canal is concerned. But I also want to circle back yet again to disincentivizing illegal aliens to come into the United States. Here's something that I think is even more important. A lot of these are just as important. A lot of these places in Latin America are not their leaders. Their leaders were sending a lot of their criminals. There were some of them, as Trump was saying, they're going to be disincentivized as well. I mean, obviously that's a duh, but I still think it's a valid point. I think those people are going to, all right, I guess we got to keep our own criminals. So respond to that. We got a minute and a half, and the Panama Canal situation, if you can.
It's funny you say that, because the Maduro regime in Venezuela, who proactively ensured that or facilitated the exit of Tren de Aragua criminals from Venezuela throughout Latin America and to the United States to destabilize the region, just today announced that it wants the extradition from the U.S. of Tren de Aragua criminals. So clearly, all of a sudden, Maduro wants to play nice with the United States. That shows the strength of leadership of Donald Trump. Without doing anything, he's already saying, Yeah, you can send those criminals back. We'll take them. That's amazing.
Wow.
The people that he actually sent out. So to Panama and to Greenland, the Western Hemisphere, obviously, we have to focus on the security threats at the Western Hemisphere. Both Panama and Greenland are strategic, are of great strategic importance to the United States. We can't have the Chinese control the Panama Canal or control the waterways around Greenland. That's why it's so important. Donald Trump is talking about issues that other presidents should have focused on. So whether we acquire the Panama Canal, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but at least we'll ensure that before Panama does anything over the canal, they consult with the United States so we can defend our strategic interests.
He's a deal maker. He's a deal maker. Alfonso Aguilar, former chief of the Office of Citizenship under DHS and currently the director of Hispanic engagement with the American Principles Project. You've been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for your time. You've been generous. We appreciate you.
Carl, thank you so much. Take care.
Carl Jackson here for MyPillow. For years, customers have been asking if MyPillow sells cross necklaces like the one Mike Lindell proudly wears every day. Well, they are excited to announce that Mike has partnered with a jeweler right here in the USA to create beautiful sterling silver My Crosses. You can save 30% today using promo code Carl. That's CARL at mypillow.com. Click on the radio podcast square or call 800-858-0263 and be sure to use promo code Carl, CARL. We don't spell it like the communists. All right. So you can choose from the women's or men's style. The My Cross for women has a more delicate look and is reversible with mother of pearl style translucent white enamel on one side and onyx styled black enamel on the other side. The My Cross for men has a slightly larger cross with onyx styled black enamel and a slightly longer, thicker chain. This amazing offer won't last long, so order now, por favor. Just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, or call 800-858-0263. Use promo code Carl, CARL.